In this presentation, we will take a look at and create an Adjusting Entries worksheet. The Adjusting Entries worksheet is typically something that we would think of as being done at the end of the process by the accountant or the tax preparer in order to prepare taxes and or financial statements. But it's something that we might want to get an idea of that process and how it might be put together. And there might be some adjusting entries that we would want to put into the system ourselves as part of our bookkeeping process. So what we'll do here is we'll create an adjusting entry worksheet from QuickBooks. We'll set it up in Excel and discuss some of the adjusting entries processes with it. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. To do this, we're going to open up QuickBooks. We're going to open up the client QuickBooks file and use the more simplified QuickBooks file. We're in QuickBooks data file. We're going to go to QuickBooks 1 and open up the QuickBooks file here. We should also have a backup file that you can use to get to this point. Here we are on the home page. We have the Open Windows open. In order to open the open windows, you can go to the View drop down and the Open Windows list. Now we're talking about the adjusting entries process here. It is possible to enter the adjusting entries directly into the QuickBooks document here. And many tax preparers at year end will do that. They'll use QuickBooks and go into QuickBooks, make some adjusting entries within the QuickBooks file in order to enter that information into taxes or whatever they need to do. It's often useful, however, to enter this information outside of the QuickBooks file, and that gives you kind of a test field so that you can have it in a separate area so you can enter information that's not going directly into the data file. Now note that if you're talking about a tax preparer, they're going to have a backup file that they restore. So if they restore the backup file, they can mess it up, they can do whatever they want to it. It's not going to affect our file, and they can also restore the backup file again if they needed to. So it's not like they would be messing up the data if we gave them a backup file and they wanted to do it all in QuickBooks. But even still, sometimes it's easier to actually see the process outside of QuickBooks. So many tax preparers will actually do it outside, even by hand, paper and pencil, or in Excel or in some other worksheet so that they can get a more visual sense of the process. Note that QuickBooks, when we enter stuff into QuickBooks, you'll note that the financial statements kind of magically get created. And if we really want to understand what's happening, we got to kind of visualize like what did QuickBooks do there? And so if we do it in like Excel or just manually, we actually know what happened because we did it. So that's going to be one reason we pull it out of QuickBooks, why Excel in some ways is more advanced in that particular kind of thought process because you can see what's happening. So that's what we're going to do here. One method we can do to look at the adjusting entries or consider the adjusting entries process is to make an Excel basically worksheet. So we'll do that here and we'll just go over some of these adjustments that might be done at year end just so we can get an idea of what the tax preparer will do and or think if we want to do these as part of our bookkeeping system at the end of each month even or at the end of the year as needs might be. And then we might be able to limit some stuff that we would give to the tax preparer for the work that they would need to do. We can't eliminate all of it. Like I say, some of it we can't get rid of no matter what we would do. That's just part of the process to make adjustments, such as things like depreciation or things like that. It's just easier to do that in the tax software to calculate that sometimes, but we might be able to do some of these adjustments on the way if we so choose as we go. It's just a cost versus benefit. So to do this, we're going to go to Reports up top. We're going to go down to Accounting and Taxes, and we're going to take a look at that trial balance. So Reports, we're going to go to Accounting and Taxes, Trial Balance. All right. And then we're going to set this up and set the date range 01/01/19 to 12/31/19. Now, if we still only have 2 months of data in here, so obviously this only has January and February, but we'll run it for the entire year. And then we've got the debits and credits. Now, this is, of course, more of an accounting type of format because it has debits and credits, and that's why it can be problematic, but it's really a cleaner report to look at. It's basically a chart of accounts with the account balances in this debit and credit format, which shows that we're in balance. Now I'm going to actually export this to Excel and just put together kind of a worksheet that we might use in order to enter adjustments and be able to see them and see if that makes sense and why we might do that. So we'll go to Excel and we'll create a new Excel worksheet, and then we're going to put it into a new workbook as well and export. So here is our trial balance. Now I'm going to format this very quickly. I'm not going to go over this. If you don't know Excel, then it's going to be kind of fast, but this will just give an idea of the worksheet that we can get from this and how we can basically set it up and why we might set it up, and we'll use this worksheet in the future just to get an idea of some of these adjusting entries that will be entered. So within here, what I'm going to do, here's our debits and credits. It gave us the formula for us and everything. And so what I can do is say, these are my beginning numbers. These are the numbers that the bookkeeper gave us. And what I want to do is be able to compare what the bookkeeper gave us to what we have at the end of the day. I want to make any adjustments we need. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to clean this up and just format it the way I would format this. So we're going to go to View. I'm going to unsplit the panes. I'm going to get rid of the 2 columns and make it just 1 column. And I'll show you why. We're going to have to add an adjustment column and an ending column. So to do that, I'm either going to need 6 columns or 3 columns. I'd rather have 3. So to do that, I'm going to represent that we're in balance not by debits equaling credits, but by debits minus credits equaling 0. So I'm just going to make all these numbers a negative by double-clicking in there and putting a negative sign in front of it. I also would rather have brackets around my negative numbers, so I'm going to highlight the whole sheet by clicking this little triangle, right-click, Format Cells, and I'm going to make this currency, bracketed, and I don't really need the pennies because I'm just doing tax return, don't need pennies on the tax return. So I'm taking off the cents, in other words, no decimals. Okay, and there we have it. Now I'm just going to put negative, and every time I put a negative, it'll put brackets. And there we have, so now the debits equal the credits, and now I'm just going to bring these over. I'm just going to click on it and pull it over into the 1 column. So now this equals 0. The debits minus the credits equals 0. It's because the debits equal the credit. So that's going to be my reconciling number. And then I'm just going to delete, I don't need the year, I know what year I'm working on. I don't need this, I'm going to just delete this. And that's what we have here. So there's our beginning balance that we have. I'm going to delete this. And then I'm going to insert a new row. I know I'm doing this way fast, but just to give you an idea what this will look like. And this is going to be like the beginning balance. And these are going to be our adjustments. And then we'll have an ending balance here. I'm going to make the whole thing bolded. Looks like that. And so then I'll center this and maybe underline it, and then I'm going to sum up our information here, copy that all the way down, and I want these two to look the same, so I'm going to format paint this and format paint it over here. So there's our information. Now I'm going to add a couple rows on this side. I'm going to insert, insert, and insert. And these are going to be where we're going to enter basically our adjustments. So I'll clean this up a little bit more as we go, so we'll see a little bit more of this adjustments. But let's just give an example here of a journal entry and see how this might work. If we say something like this loans payable, if we say that the loans payable is off and we need to make an adjustment to the loans payable, and let's say we need to increase it by $100, that's what we've determined. We're going to say copy, paste, and it's a journal entry, so I'm going to say that this needs to go up. I'll actually pull this down here by 100 in the credit direction. And then the other side, I'm going to say goes down here, and this isn't correct, but I'm going to put it to miscellaneous expense just to give an idea. This would be our journal entry, and then we can put that into our adjustment column and say, here's the adjustment that's going to be made. Now, again, this is a wrong journal entry, but just note that then I can see on my beginning numbers very quickly. We can see our adjustments and the ending numbers very quickly here. And we can see exactly what we did with each journal entry in this format, which is a little bit more difficult with QuickBooks, where we have to jump back and forth. So this is a standard kind of adjusting type setup. I'm going to adjust this worksheet a little bit more, make it look nice. I'll put some color into it and whatnot, and we'll use it to examine a few adjusting entries that we've talked about as we've gone that we're dependent on now for the bookkeeper at the year end, or the tax preparer, or the accountant, I should say, at the year end to do in order to make the tax preparation or any financial statements. And again, the tax preparer may not use a worksheet like this. They may use it. The more complex something is, the better the idea to use a worksheet like this. If there's only a few adjustments, they might just depend completely on the software, on their tax software, and just enter the data and enter any information by paper and pencil into a profit and loss. But this is the type of adjustments that we can think about, and we'll use the worksheet, which is the more formal way that we can actually see what is happening, even if it's a simple process with the use of a worksheet like this. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.